Well, for the rest of these videos, I'll be talking about IDEs, interactive development environments, and so on. And I'll also be talking a little bit about other compilers, that is, compilers that are free for you to use. Let's start with the IDEs. Code Blocks is one of the popular ones. There you can see codeblocks.org, and here's the introduction. And there's a little picture of what it looks like. The usual IDEs, lots of little windows that you can point and click around to load in the elements of your program and build it. The same thing goes for another one which is very well known, but a bit more recent. But notice that it's Visual Studio Code. This is nothing to do with the Microsoft Visual Studio with its C++ compiler that you download as Microsoft Visual Studio. This is much more your standard IDE, which you can choose your compilers and so forth, just like you can in Code Blocks. And another great favorite in the IDE world is Eclipse. I think it might have started out as an IDE for Java, but now includes all kinds of other stuff, and you can include gfortran with it as well. So it's another one. In all of these IDEs, you set the compiler to be whichever compiler you want that's actually on your computer. Well, here we are at the Microsoft Visual Studio download page. Go to visualstudio.microsoft.com for that. Don't go and pay for it. You can download it for free entirely. Of course, there are professional editions and so on, which includes extra stuff that you can pay for. The thing about Visual Studio, it comes with its own C++ compiler, which you can't run as a standalone. It's embedded within Microsoft Visual Studio, and we're going to have a look at that next. We've downloaded Microsoft Visual Studio 2019, and we're going to run our Hello World program in it, and we're going to attempt to use our GNU compiler compiled DLL, or rather the import library for it, alongside Visual Studio, so that we can call gfortran from Microsoft Visual Studio's C++ compiler and use Microsoft Visual Studio's own linker. Well, here I am in Microsoft Visual Studio 2019, and I have a version of my Hello program, the one with the matrices, but this time I've stripped out all the common blocks. So for instance, there's no fun1 block, and instead of having that common block with fun1 block /y, we pass both x and y to fun1 as arguments, and we pass both the matrices and both the floats to sub1 matrix as arguments. So everything's passed by argument. There's not a common block in sight, and I've rebuilt the DLL and the import library and everything accordingly, and I've put it in a directory called c:/my_DLLs with a Z. So here we are. Now the thing is, how do we call the Fortran DLL? Well, I was rather surprised by this. All you have to do is go to Project, and the project name is Hello VS2, and then go to Properties. Now you have the property pages. Then go to Linker. Anyway, we go to Input, and we go to Additional Dependencies. You can see you can edit this line. So this line is the path to a dependency, in this case the absolute path, including the c:/. Anyway, each entry is separated by a semicolon, just like in the path variable that you have. And I've already added c:/mydlls /libdynaimp.a. Note that you actually have to give it the name of the import library. Don't put the DLL name there, which in this case would be libdyna capital DLL and then dot lowercase dll. Don't put that in because it won't be able to cope with the actual DLL file itself. What you have to give it is that import library file. Whether you have a .lib extension or a .a extension doesn't really matter. I was quite surprised you didn't have to put the path to libgfortran.lib, but we didn't have to do that. Maybe on your version you will have to do that. So we'll just click OK. You might have to click apply first time, and then we go to, let's do clean solution and then build solution. Well, it says it's succeeded, nothing's failed, everything's up to date, and so on. And now I'm going to, you can see I've got the solution configuration is for debug rather than release, even though I haven't compiled anything with the debugger option. We'll just do start without debugging, and here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The usual 7, 9, 11, 8, 9, 10. What have we done here? Yes, we've got 7, 9, 11 should be the first row instead of the first column. 8, 10, 12, 7, 9, 11. There we are. That's matrix A, matrix B, and everything's been passed into the DLL and out of the DLL. Everything has done what it was supposed to do. Now, you might imagine that I desperately tried to get this working. I don't know if I pointed out this site properly. Let's do so now. So this is the Lawrence Livermore National Laboratory.gov, and there's a whole bunch of tutorials which includes this page here, using C++ and Fortran together, which is how I got GCC to work, and I pretty well just cribbed stuff from here. So this is where I got that external C with the struct name there, and later on it will tell you Fortran calling a C function, and later still C++ calling Fortran. So anyway, that's how I got the GNU Fortran compiler's version to mix up C and C++. But I've tried that within calling the GNU Fortran compiled library and Visual C++, and for the life of me I couldn't get it to work, and I've given up. The Visual C++ linker doesn't seem to understand something. It's probably much more likely that I don't understand something and I'm just doing something wrong. If you figure out how to do it, please tell me. So here we are, and very surprisingly indeed, all we had to do was go to the project properties, go to the linker, and then input and additional dependencies, and put in the name of the GNU Fortran compiled libdynaimp.library, which we have the .a extension for, and the linker links into that library without any problems, and everything runs. The only thing is, so far at least, we can't have libraries with Fortran functions that actually have common blocks in them. So let's actually get rid of Microsoft Visual C++, and we've got rid of DLL hell, we've got rid of hello hell. We don't need to say anything more about those. Well, here we have a painting by Domenico di Michelino. It was done in 1465 apparently, and here we have Purgatory. You can see lots of people, probably rather cold, going round and round in circles, carrying heavy rocks and doing all kinds of arduous tasks to purify their souls so that it can eventually get into heaven. So that's much more like computing normally is, whether you're a Unix, Linux, or a Microsoft Windows or Macintosh. We're finally out of hell.